Alright, good morning, guys. It's now 10:20 a.m. on Friday the 13th, October 13th, and just making a follow-up video from the one I made last night regarding U.S. CPI, U.S. dollar CPI, and inflation numbers. So, if we look first at the actual data that came out this morning, everything was pretty negative. So, I mean, they weren't huge negative, but they were negative. 0.5 on the CPI, 0.1 on the core. The only positive number was the headline retail sales, and a slight miss on the month-to-month retail sales. So this was the headline. The core retail was actually up slightly. So these were a little bit of a miss, and the initial move on the dollar was pretty negative. As we can see, dollar moves lower after CPI disappoints. And so now let's look at the charts here and see what we got going on. So here's the US Swiss hourly chart. We had this move down right here. This is when the news came out. As I mentioned last night, guys, is that you have to be aware of when I made the video last night, we were 10 candles back, from here. So we were somewhere right about here last night when I made this video, and I said, you have to be aware and see where the market is at the time the news comes out. And right before the news came out, I saw the market going up here, and that really concerns me. I didn't end up taking these long positions because of that. I actually didn't take a short either because I just felt like I wasn't as sure of what was going to happen. So as you can see, I did miss a down move here, but I'm okay with that. And, looking at this a little bit in hindsight now, I think in the end, what I said was that the dollar would strengthen is still going to happen, because I think what we have now from an Elliott wave standpoint is we have a completed trend here. So this is the 2-hour chart, and you can kind of really see this anywhere from about the the 1 hour up to about the 6 hour. You can see this trend, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we came down, made a new low. And let's look. I didn't do this before, so this wave 1 was about 66 pips. This wave 5 was pretty much the same thing, 66, 70 pips. So, and in Elliott wave, it's not a hard fast rule, but typically wave 1 and wave 5 will be the same length, and that's pretty much what we have here. So I do think it's kind of the end of the trend. And so it's just that the news came out negative, so the market wanted to push down a little bit more. And again, that's kind of what I was seeing this morning when I saw this pattern right here. Looked more like an ABC correction. It was going up pretty strong leading into the news, so that did concern me a little bit that we didn't make that low overnight. If you watched my video last night, I was saying that I expected the price to be somewhere down in this area before the news. That didn't happen. It was actually going up, which kind of led me to believe that this downtrend wasn't completed yet, and sure enough, that's what happened. Although again, I honestly didn't take the shorts because I still think in the long run this would move back up just by the pattern. And so that's what we see here now. Let's see. Look at a couple of these other pairs. Here's the U.S. yen, and again, what I was saying last night is that I expected the price to be somewhere at around these lows, or maybe a little lower, and then turn up. And of course the news came out. Let's go down. Here's where the news came out, and we went down, made a new low, and now we've kind of bottomed out. Now I'm not saying this is going to turn and shoot back up now. This one doesn't have really as clear of a pattern like the US Swiss has in terms of really being able to see it, but so again, I'm not eager to jump into this long. But I would say that I'd keep an eye on this. This maybe have one more push down, maybe retest this low. I'm not sure. And here is the Aussie dollar. I actually did take a long on. This is my demo account, guys, so this is not my real account. But I did take a short long on this, a short-term long on this, which I'm out of now. Let me just clear those arrows off of here. And of course, when the news came out, this pair went up. But remember what I was saying last night, and I took the labels off, so let me put those back on. Okay, so that this was a wave 5, that this move up was a wave 4, and then we'd eventually turn down. And and that still has not been invalidated. I mean, this move up, although it went further than I thought, this really, I didn't think it would go much past here, but it has gone a little bit past there. Where are we sitting right now? I mean, just above these highs right here, but it's pulling back a little bit, so we'll see. The Kiwi dollar looks pretty much the same. Again, I took a little, long on here, which I'm out of now, but kind of the same thing. If this move up is just corrective, but see, this is very strong, so that's why I wasn't interested in just holding on to a short in this position when I saw the strength of this move up. But this pattern is not invalidated, so we still could see this turn back down. Euro dollar, this is my demo account. I'm in here short, long right now, so actually I'm going to just get rid of this. I usually just try to take some of these on my demo account just for demonstration purposes, but I didn't take this on my live account because, again, when I saw how that news came out, and you can see what's happening right here, guys. We went up to and made this new high. This may have been the wave 5. And again, my original prediction is that the euro would go down, but again, when the news last night when I made the video, we were right about in this price action. We were moving up, and I had said last night that if we saw the price go up and end around this high, or maybe even a little higher, that I'd go short. Well, we saw what happened when I got up this morning and was looking at the news. I saw that we actually had kind of peaked and started going down, and the news came out a couple of hours ago, right about in here, and we continued the down move. So I did not take this short earlier because it just didn't look like this correction was over, and that is in fact what happened. And I'm just going to measure this. I didn't do this before. It's about 50 pips there, and then off this high to this low is about 48 pips. So you could label this as an ABC correction to an uptrend. A and C typically are about the same length, and it is pretty much, although this looks shorter, but it measures out only a couple of pips lower. So and longer term, on the euro, it does look like this probably has some more downside to go, but it looks better on these shorter term charts right now. So, and you can see the euro is pushing down right now. So again, I think the takeaway is that I think ultimately I'm going to be proven right. It's just that the news came out a little worse than expected, and so the market kind of took that as a little bit of a shock and sold off. But again, if you look at these numbers, they're not particularly, but yes, they're red, because anything on a CPI number that's below what they're forecasting is going to show up red. So the market sees this, but it's not like they were predicting 0.6, came out at 0.5. I mean, if this had come out like at 0 or a negative number, then that would be devastating. But 0.5, 0.6, it's a little bit of a miss. The market was disappointed, it sold off. The core, same thing, 0.2, 0.1. It's not like this was negative. Retail sales, as I mentioned, I didn't really think would do too much. I don't think this really had much to do with anything, and it's a mixed bag anyways. And so I think the headline kind of spooked the market, and we saw prices go down. But ultimately, I think we're going to continue in the way I suggested. So, but the reason for the video, guys, is just to do a follow-up and for me to say, look, last night this is what I was thinking, but remember we were 10 or 11 hours from the news, and I said, you need to reevaluate it before the news comes out and look at the patterns. And when I got up this morning and looked at those patterns, I was definitely changed my tune in terms of where I thought it was going, just because the overnight patterns and the early London patterns didn't finish what I had expected, and so I just stayed on the sideline and I just wait to see what happens. It was there were some conflicting patterns on different pairs, and I just decided it was better just to not trade it based on what I could see. And but we'll see what happens. But again, we're heading into the late London session here, and it is Friday, so the market will tend to go to sleep after noon today for the weekend. There's nothing going on this afternoon for news, so you got to kind of take that as a grain of salt. What the traders are going to want to hold over the weekend. So, but we'll see what happens. Again, the Aussie and the Kiwi, these still could be corrections, and we could still be heading down here. I don't think these patterns are not invalidated. So, because if this is the 1, 2, 3, as long as this price action doesn't get any higher than, if this is the low of wave 1, right where this 2 is right here, if this is the low of wave 1 in Elliott wave, as long as wave 4 doesn't enter into the price area of wave 1, then it's still valid, and we're not there yet. So I didn't expect it would go much further than this, but it did. But then again, this candle is still open. We could see this candle pull back and close around these levels, and that would still confirm it to me. So we'll see what happens. It's not invalidated. It's just that the correction wasn't done, and so that's why you got to be flexible and never hold yourself to one particular view until it actually happens, and then make your decision. So, and it's the same thing on the Kiwi dollar. Although this is a strong move up, I do think this downtrend's still intact, and that that this is ultimately going to be this still could be a wave 4 that's finishing and just going a little deeper, and it's still nowhere near the wave 2. So we'll see how that plays out. But again, whether I'm going to go into this short today is probably not likely, unless we really see this start to push down this afternoon. Or if I do take a position, I'm going to have a stop pretty close, because I think it may go up one more time. Maybe not today, but early next week before it continues down. So I'm going to be just watching it, but not really eager to jump in to a long position here. So here's the U.S. Canadian, and again, I was saying last night that we've had move down, little correction, move down, little correction, move down, little correction, and then we started moving down again on that news. We had this big red candle, and you can see it just didn't really go anywhere. It stopped, and this may have just been a correction to this new move up, and but again, that's why I didn't take the short, because when I saw this this type of action going up and then down, but right before the news came up, we were heading up, I was like, well, to me it looks like this is probably an ABC correction, and we're going to go down again, and that's what happened. Although the downside was pretty limited, and now it's moving back up. So I might have just been a little bit early on my prediction. I don't know what I was drawing this Fibonacci. Yeah, we retraced 61.8 of this move up on this low, on this close right here. So almost 78.6 on the low. But so like I said, I think ultimately I was correct. It was just that I was a little bit early on it, and so I think now the market might kind of think about it again and say, the numbers weren't great, but they were still positive. Those are still pretty good numbers, and everything else is still pretty much intact. So anyways, guys, so that's it. Have any questions, let me know, but I did feel it was important to make a follow-up based on what we saw and kind of explain what I see happened. So, and again, be flexible, and you do your analysis early, but you got to do analysis just before the news comes out too. And don't be so hardened in your opinion that you made previously that you can't be flexible and change it, because until it actually happens, anything can change. And so that's the way I view it. So anyways, guys, so that's it. Hope you have a great weekend, and hope you enjoyed it, and be back next week. All right, thanks.